because this is not my life. I never wanted to adapt to that. I said to myself, I was locked up for 7 to 14 years for a crime I didn't do. And I was in the streets and a lot of things that I did do. And when I think about it, God actually saved me because the brothers that I was with is still in prison. Some of them got 3 and 4 life sentences. Some of them got 50 and 60 years. So 7 to 14 was pretty much a blessing for me. You know, I didn't see it as a blessing then. I was, for those of you who don't know, my name is Mysonne. I was signed to Violate the Def Jam in 1998. I had a $1 million record deal. I was on the cusp of being probably the biggest rapper out there. And I got locked up for armed robbery that I didn't commit. Took the case to trial, ended up going to 7 to 14 years. You know, losing my $1 million record deal, sitting there frustrated, trying to figure out what was I going to do. But I said to myself that every minute that I'm inside this cell and I don't grow and I don't evolve, then the system won't. And I wasn't going to let the system beat me. You know, I said, I'm going to get, like the brother told me, you're going to get another chance to be back in society. So what are you going to do with that chance? You know, and as a 21-year-old sitting in the cell, I realized that everybody that was coming in there looked like me. It was young black and brown boys, and a lot of them was coming in with 30 and 40 and 50 years for the first mistake they ever made. And I said to myself, why are we the only ones having this reality? Right? The reality was that they taught us wrong. Somebody lied to us. Somebody made us believe that that was the only thing we could do, right? Because they tricked us so out of our spots. So we was coming in there, and what happened was, they tricked us so good that brothers was coming back from themselves to come to the streets and made it seem like it was something cool going to jail. It was like a rite of passage. I remember being 14 and 15 years old, and the brothers was coming home from jail, and they was treating them like God. And they made us feel like if we didn't do that, then we didn't have no stripes. We weren't really men. If you couldn't go in the walls, and if you wasn't in the yard and sing, and you didn't have the gaiters on, and you wasn't the one that was getting in the packages, and you ain't had all the girls on the visit, then you wasn't really a man. So a lot of us aspired to go to prison to show that we was men. That was the right to, that's how you showed manhood. And when I got in there, I realized that they lied to me. I didn't want to be around a bunch of dudes all day. I had to sit around in cubes and in close proximity to people that I probably would have never talked to in the street. Right? To people who actually, some of them actually wanted to be there. And that wasn't my reality. So I didn't make it my reality. I didn't let them trick me into believing that was my reality. And I said, once y'all let me out of here, I'm never coming back here. And every kid and young brother and anybody that I talk to, I'm going to make sure that they don't come here. So when I came back out here, the music that I wrote, one of the biggest things for me that changed my perspective was when I went upstate and everybody knew I was a rapper, so that would be the main thing they talk about. So these young kids would come to the yard, they always wanted to battle and this and that. And they wanted to talk to me and say, yo, I remember that verse, my son lefty, gun in the right palm, talking niggas and they sleep. So, do that verse right there. I did my first robbery to that verse. And they thought that was something special. It hurt my heart. I inspired you to do a robbery. Something I said motivated you to put yourself in here. And I went back to myself and I internalized that. And I took that responsibility. And I said, wow, that wasn't what I was doing. I thought I was telling the tales of where we come from, but I wasn't giving it to them the truth. I was glorifying a lifestyle that was going to end them in prison or in jail, or in a graveyard. And when I realized that, I said, when I get back out of here, I got to change that. Because there's nothing cool about this. That's right. I'm going to tell you the truth about the streets. You're going to die, you're going to go to jail. That's the reality of this. If you're in these streets, you're going to die or you're going to go to jail. There's no, it ain't like the Future said, God bless the trap niggas. I said, I got a question for that. Where you at, nigga? The trappers that I know is getting arrested because of racks, nigga. Sentenced to life and they ain't never coming back, nigga. That's the facts. Those are the realities of what's going on. So when I came home, That was my charge. I thought about my OG every day I was out there, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because you come home and you don't have it, right? You come home and everybody expecting you to do this, and you trying to figure it out, and you're moving around, and they expecting you to have a bunch of money, and you were supposed to have this, and they're like, well, I got this for you, or you can come over here and do this. And I had to have discipline. I had to believe in myself more than I didn't believe. I had to build up what I had to do. I had to focus because it wasn't simple. It wasn't easy. Oh, you just gotta run. Nah, music changed when I came home. They didn't want to hear substance. They wanted to hear you dance and bounce. They wanted to do it. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to give you. Nah, that ain't what we on no more. We passed that. So I had to reinvent myself. Right? I had to reinvent myself. And I said, I know that I'm strong enough to do it. You know, my passion. And what I did was combine my passion with my purpose. I started realizing my purpose was to save lives. My purpose was to inspire and motivate these young kids. My purpose was to fight for my people to be on these front lines. So I started utilizing this music, and I connected it to my purpose, and then I found my own lane. And I started building it. I started creating curriculums in schools, and I started to create violence programs. I grabbed up a lot of these former drug dealers and a lot of the former gang leaders, and even current gang leaders, and said, listen, bro, a gangster is the ones that protect their community. The gangsters ain't the ones that's harming the community. No, when you're a gangster, you can stop violence. Right? The old lady's supposed to feel comfortable when you walk the streets that you're really a gangster. Not the kids ain't supposed to run from you. You're supposed to protect your community. And that was our mindset. We're not using gangster, with the gangs that was originally started for, it was to protect the community. That's what it was started. Brotherly love, overriding oppression and destruction. That's what blood was. So when they started really understanding what it was, they said, look, we're going to take care of our communities from now on. So that was my mission, was to take the people that y'all forgot about, that y'all worked rid off and said that they was the worst, and show you that, no, they're not. They're just fighting the wrong war. When they realize who and what the enemy is, then we got soldiers. You know, so I just want you to know that y'all part of the soldiers. Right now, you have lived experience that these kids don't have. That's right. So the people closest to the solution is the ones that's closest to the problem. These young kids is going to look up to you for what they thought you was in the streets before. These young boys is following you young kids. They looking at y'all and they say, oh, he's the tough kid. Who want for knives? Tell them that shit ain't real. Ain't nothing tough about being yourself. With men, you got to drop your drawers and you got to look into your rectum every time. And they can turn your cell inside out. Tell your little brother there ain't nothing cool about that. Tell them the real. So we're going to have more of a conversation, but I just want to give you my take on what's going on. And I hope to hear more from you brothers because y'all inspire and motivate me. Thank you so much.